And for us to look at what the papers are reporting this morning, the Nation newspaper saying that President Tinubu will be commissioning Giri District access roads today. The Punch also says the same with the fact that the commissioning of the newly constructed access roads in Giri District in Abuja, where the president will also be. But I guess that might be a representation there. Leadership newspaper says Ganduje, Kwankwaso supporters plot next move. And this Nigeria says the same thing. Ganduje's exit. NNPP puts pressure on Kwankwaso to join the APC. The Guardian newspaper says old rivalries hobble PDP's lifeline neck meeting. You find that on page 6. Abuja Inquirer. FCT teachers PHC's strike. Abuja elders demand urgent action. Say classic failure of governance. NLC to shut down FCT after project commissioning. The next paper, Blueprint newspaper, has the main headline above the masthead. NDLEA busts Turkey Nigeria drug ring, ex-footballer, 4 others nabbed. Nigeria News Direct, confess and apologize for Biafra war or face history's judgment. Ohaneze tells Gowon, slams ex-head of state for distorting history, dishonoring victims. Platform Times, insecurity, 36 governors under fire, over 375 billion naira security votes, get 7 days ultimatum. Daily Independent, Nigeria's rising debt revenue shortfalls deepen fiscal worries. And the Sporting Live, Chukwueze, 11 others face AC Milan, axe Fulham to offer Nigerian escape route. All right, guys, we've got a mouthful of papers there this morning. Let's see. Just make judicious use of the time to, looking at what the papers reported this morning. Let's start off with the Nation newspaper as well as the Punch newspaper, reminding us that what we've talked about in terms of infrastructure, they're not done yet. They still have more to come. So we've seen this in different states. This time around, it is also coming from the FCT. Yes, the
FCT has, let's just call it the infrastructural renewal capital of Nigeria for now. So many commissionings going on, and good for the FCT, because that is like the face of Nigeria. So if we have good infrastructure there, it tells a better story about Nigeria for visitors that are coming in. So I pray that we have more and more commissionings coming. And as I said the last time I had to talk about this, I wish we're going to have these commissionings happening in every state of Nigeria, as much as it is happening in the FCT.
Yeah, so I think it's also happening in other states, because I saw a report by BKO in Kogi State. There's also one in Edo State by Monday Okpeolo, who took infrastructure development to his former what's it called? His predecessors. His own village. Like, when you come here, you'll not recognize the village any longer.
I like the fact that he's not looking at any political matter to decide if he wants to bring development to his predecessor's place, village, whatever you want to call it. But it is good that we're seeing development infrastructure across the country. It is good that state governors have decided to work hand in glove with the governor, with the president rather, regarding infrastructure, which is important to move the country forward. Again, my question is this something that people really need if we're looking at it critically? For Edo State, you know that yes, they need roads, good road. That's one thing that has been a major problem for them. And so it's good to see the FCT developing also. The FCT minister has been doing a lot of work. We must give kudos to him. He has said he wants to make a mark, and history will judge him, well for that. But again, are there other issues that the people feel these are not really what we need? Well, I'll leave it at that point.
You were in Abuja lately. You've been going in and out of Abuja. How was it the last time you went and the very last time you visited Abuja?
Of course, there are lots of changes. Of course, there are a lot. What?
Did you miss your way to your...
No, like you can see that in the infrastructure. You're not just seeing it on newspaper and news. Like I saw it, like I see how Abuja is looking. You cannot even compare it. And just to add to what Veronica has said, I feel like by the time they are done with the infrastructure, then they will face other things. But then we want it to be done quicker, you know, because people are suffering. But moving to the fact that it's not just an FCT, you know, we're seeing it happen across. I'm so happy that our politicians are now taking charge and doing good things. They now know that when you leave office, something good has to be said about you. You know, because back in the days, this is not we always see politicians stealing money, not doing the job. But I'm happy now that at least we can see something. After you leave office, there is something to show for it. So I'm really happy. And a country that is built on infrastructure will definitely stand the test of time.
Most definitely. So let's move on to the leadership newspaper. We also have the same on this Nigeria, as well as the Guardian, which is talking about, you know, party crisis. So we have Ganduje, his exit from the APC as the chairman. So they are pressuring Kwankwaso, his supporters are pressuring him to join the APC, saying that he needs to leave NNPP is causing problem for them there. So they will be relieved if he moves to the APC. But they think there's just, you know, some subtle political, you know, gimmicks there.
Yeah, you always have politicians say, my people said I should run. Who said your people said you should run?
No, he knows his people. He knows his people and his people know him.
Yeah, and say that the NNPP is pushing Kwankwaso to join. I'm not even looking at who is pushing who. I'm looking at the significance of Kwankwaso finally joining the APC. It will be a big move, because Kwankwaso over time has proved to a lot of Nigerians that he's not moving an inch. NNPP is my baby, and this is where I'm going to get my political dreams come true. You know, for the table to shift a little bit, because it feels that way, that the table is shifting a little bit, and the idea of him moving to APC is getting clearer. I'm just waiting for that day that he will announce it.
And one thing that people also, you know, found interesting is the fact that I'm having health challenges. I just need to tend to my health. I don't want this to affect, you know, my whatever official duties that I have. So I'm relinquishing this seat to move on with other things. You? Talking about Ganduje. I'm not holding any political appointments. Whatever I'm doing here is social responsibility.
Well, if that's the reason that he has given, then I believe that people should just accept it. Although, yes, there are stories behind the scene talking about the fact that we know that there's the Ganduje movement and the Kwankwaso movement in Kano when we're talking about politics. These are two major movements. Anytime there is election, you see how people move. Either you're here or you're there. And there's been talks about the fact that though he was with the president during his campaigns, he didn't deliver much from Kano for the APC. And so they are looking at his political capital, how it has waned. And in terms of comparing it with that of Kwankwaso and the Kwankwaso movement, who are now saying he should move away from NNPP to the APC. You can't forget the role that Kwankwaso played in the 2013-2014 election, how it is that he was a force for the former president. And so if they are thinking that we need the numbers from Kano now and that we can welcome Kwankwaso into the APC, it is good. Even though Felix Morka has said that there has been no engagement, that's the APC spokesperson, said there's been no engagement with Kwankwaso, but we hear these things until they now make the announcement formally. So let's not bother ourselves.
It's a form of innovation.
Right. But if you ask me, to be honest, I really don't think it's health reasons. I think the reasons are obvious, you know, but we try to cover it, but the reasons are obvious. Now, let's pick somebody as Kwankwaso in Kano State. The amount of following this man has, like, is unmatched. You cannot even understand. When you speak to the Hausa people and their love for him, if he is actually going to APC, he's very valuable. And let's not lie, a lot of people, if you're valuable, you're loved. So it's a big one if he's actually going to APC. It would do really well for APC. It will give them the numbers, because I tell you what, when it comes to the houses, their lawyer, they will follow him. It's obvious that they will follow him.
Yes, definitely. All right, guys, let's move on to the Blueprint newspaper. NDLEA busts Turkey Nigeria drug ring, ex-footballer, 4 others nabbed. If you can do these very quickly, it's so sad that we're still having people pushing drugs, you know, one way or the other. The fact that, I think you mentioned an aged woman, is it 60-something or 70-something-year-old who was also nabbed? You know, what does it say?
Drug is big business. When there is big profit, the business will keep going, no matter how dangerous it is. Drug is a multi-billion-dollar business, and
but you need to add illegal business.
You know, it's illegal. I mean, it's obvious. You know, it's like
saying
Ibrahim.
Making money.
It's like saying Ibrahim is a man. It's obvious you are a man. But the drug business, as far as it is as profitable as it is, we're going to have to hear stories like this coming up from time to time. You know, whether you're an ex-footballer, you're an ex-this, you're an ex-that, greed is greed. You want to make money, you want to make money. But the decision to make the money illegally, that's the one that beats me. And unfortunately, a 72-year-old woman had been wrapped up in all this mess.
Yeah, Veronica, very quickly.
Well, it's sad that these persons, I don't know, we give excuses of, oh, the country is hard, and that's why we decided to get into these kind of businesses. But here we are now. Whatever it is you have done over the years, be it as a 72-year-old woman or an ex-footballer, it has gone down the drain, is that you are now a criminal. It's unfortunate. It's unfortunate. And the people who push these people to do these things, where is your conscience? You are killing people's children. We see people becoming zombies. It's no longer something that is fashionable. It is something we need to address as quickly as possible.
I remember my mom says something, a good name is better than riches, and I forever stand with it, because look at these ex-footballers. They've lived a good life. Now look at what you've done to spoil it. I feel like sometimes the greed is just too much, and when it comes to drug, I'm totally against it, because people are dying. Like, people are taking... When you meet a drug addict, then you'll be very pissed off with the people that do this, because it finishes them, it gets into their brain, and it's so sad to see that now this is ex-footballers are supposed to make Nigeria proud at the end of the day.
Well, it's desperation, so they say. What Nigerian News Direct says, confess and apologize for Biafra war or face history's judgment. Ohanaeze tells Gowon, slams ex-head of state for distorting history, dishonoring victims. You know, the former head of state said that he did it in order to fight against secessionism, but others, the group, the Ohanaeze Indigbo, are saying that no, that it was tribal and it was needless. Some even said it was needless.
Look, if you've read anything about the Civil War, you start having the feeling that this is not a war, it's ethnic cleansing, because the number of people that died on the Biafra side was just too much, over 2 million, and the 2 million is what do I call official figures. You know, you needed to see. At the early 70s, we were still seeing the repercussions of the war. You know, the children with bloated stomachs and the relics of the war, was the crashed planes here and there. We saw them. Do you understand? And if Ohanaeze is sounding this way, I tend to understand with them. I tend to understand why they are talking like that.
Shouldn't there be a blueprint for us to move on? Because in our diversity, in our disagreement, we've seen countries like Rwanda, in fact, Colombia, you know, they had like 50+ years of war, of strife within them, and they move on with peace. Even South Africa, the apartheid regime. But now they've united, you know, to move the country forward.
Something called the Aburi Accord that was supposed to guide how we moved forward. But what happened to that accord is the question that a lot of persons have been asking.
Even the one is also asking.
Have been asking. I believe that if Gowon had addressed that matter or gone ahead to ensure that the Aburi Accord was adhered to at the time, a lot of hearts would have been healed. Closure would have been made at the time, because the very issues that led to the Civil War and even afterwards are still very much with us. They are still the matters that are seemingly pulling the fabrics of our society as we speak. So one question I would like to ask him was, what did he do with the Aburi Accord? Where are we with that? What happened? You just came and declared no victor, no vanquished. What happened at the time? Because a lot of persons need answers even as we speak.
And a lot of people need closure as well. Like Toma had rightfully said, people died of hunger. You know, I feel like sometimes when you apologize, it helps for healing as well. We've seen countries like South Africa even apologize for. Sometimes you make mistakes and you apologize. So him bringing it back, because I was reading comments on social media and people are saying that why is he trying to relieve the moment? But sometimes apologizing is not weakness.
Well, it depends on how the person see it, because if you're saying that I should apologize, then they'll be asking you the question, apologize for what? I did it for so and so reason. But that's why history is very, very significant. You know?
A lot of persons are not understanding why he did it, because the explanation is not sitting where it means that you are not yet communicating. It's important he communicates in the language people understand, especially explaining what happened to the Aburi Accord.
That's right. So let's move on to the Platform Times, saying that insecurity, 36 governors under fire, over 375 billion naira security votes, get 7 days ultimatum. That's SERAP asking the governors that, listen, we need to know how much you've spent this security votes. People are dying of hunger, there's poverty, there's insecurity at the end of the day. So you're saying that, yeah, it doesn't apply to us. So the Supreme Court said, no, FOI applies to all the governors. You need to be accountable for what you do, regardless of the information, even though you claim that some of them are classified.
I think it is pedestrian knowledge, if I can use that kind of phrase, to expect that the governors should tell us what they do with their security votes. A friend of mine says that's their unofficial salary. You know why? I mean, because you don't retire security votes. You don't do that. You just it's a fund kept aside for exigencies. You know, and what if the exigency doesn't show up? So I think what SERAP is doing is right, is a step in the right direction. The governors have to let us know, because these security votes are not 2 naira. They are heavy amounts of money. What are you doing with it? It's time for accountability.
On top of this, there's also ecological fund.
Call it whatever name you want to call it. I know that according to the Constitution, the primary purpose of governance is security of lives and property. But these governors, who are the chief security officers of their state, do not control the structures. So why give them such a huge amount? How are they supposed to disburse it? How are they supposed to handle it? And that's the question that Nigerians are asking. It's high time we begin to see transparency and accountability when you're talking about these monies. That's where we start now, because when you look at all the 36 states of the Federation and even the Federal Capital Territory, there are several security issues that we need to address. And the governors will tell you they are handicapped because they do not control the structure. Right. So what are you doing with the monies? Please answer.
And this monies we're talking about, 375 billion. It's not even small money. It's a lot of money. We've said about it a lot of times on this table, talking about accountability. And I feel like it's high time we get to see transparency. Where are all this money is going into? Because security is very important in
and I think we're talking about 2023 to 2024, 2025.
That's a whole lot of money.
That figure is not for a long period.
Yeah, it's not
because the individual cash that goes to one state, and so it's really, really huge.
All right. Wow. Daily Independent says Nigeria's rising debt, revenue shortfalls deep in fiscal worries. So as we are settling our debt on one side, we're still having another, dragging our trousers that, listen, you still owe us. And this is being affected by the naira to dollar exchange, which is now increasing everything and eating into our revenue generation.
You don't have to be an economist to realize that if your currency value is very low and then you have debts outside, you need even more, to settle those debts. And the other day we were celebrating that we're out of the IMF loan, and today we are also talking about the heavy debts that Nigeria is owing. My appeal to the government is, let's strengthen the naira. When we do, our debt profile will drop.
That's right. But I think floating the naira and some other things, economic measures that we've brought to bear, they ought to be paying dividends by now.
Well, we have seen dividends because governors are getting more allocation and all of it. And then we've seen so many things happen. But when you put our currency side by side other currencies, that's where we have a challenge, a huge challenge. And it's affecting us inflation-wise. But I think that what we need to do is, because we are more of a consuming nation, we need to look inwards and encourage production so we can export. And we see that will help our naira, the value of our currency. If we are not doing that and we are doing more of consumption, then we'll keep having this challenge until we begin to pay attention. That's why I talked about earlier the infrastructure we are building. How is it affecting what it is that we actually need at the end of the day? If it is not increasing production and export, then we are still not moving as fast as we should.
We have just about a minute.
And it looks like most of the money we get, we take it to pay more debt. So how can we have more?
That's very short.
Very short and straight to the
point. So very quickly, Sporting Live says Chukwueze, 11 others face AC Milan axe Fulham to offer Nigerian escape route. Veronica, this is quite a challenge for Chukwueze, but I think it's also an opportunity for him to explore on the other way around, because he had a lackluster experience, with AC Milan.
Absolutely, and AC Milan has just dropped from Champions League, and that is one thing that nobody wants for their team or their club. And so if he wasn't getting the required number of playing time, he will seek that elsewhere. Every football player wants to play in Europe as much as possible, especially in the Champions League. So this might also afford him the opportunity to play elsewhere and also have more time to play.
Which he has been seeking.
He has been seeking. So he's open to it, which is fine for him.
I understand that I got a signal that we need to race on because of our time. That's about it for the newspapers up for review. Do stay with us on TVC Breakfast. Still to come, we'll discuss the peace deal between Governor Siminalayi Fubara and his predecessor, Nyesom Wike. What impact will this have in River State? Do join us again.